Epsom salt has a weird reputation. It's one of those grandma's cabinet things that somehow showed up everywhere at once. TikTok, spa blogs, gym locker rooms, even the medicine aisle, like it's either a miracle mineral or a scam in a pretty bag. And honestly, I get why people are split. Here's the truth most videos won't say out loud. Epsom salt isn't magic, but it's also not pointless. Used the right way, for the right reason, it can be a genuinely helpful little tool, especially for tired feet, rough skin, and those nights where your body just feels done. Used the wrong way, though, you can dry your skin out, waste your time, and this matters. Cover up a real foot problem that needed proper care. Warm soaks feel amazing, but if you're soaking when you should be treating an infection, an injury, or a circulation issue, you can end up making things worse by delaying the right help. So this isn't going to be a hype video. No detox bath fairy tales. No fear-mongering. No pretending Epsom salt is medicine for everything. What I am going to give you is a realistic guide. 7 reasons Epsom salt actually makes sense in real life, and 5 mistakes to avoid. Because most people don't fail because Epsom salt doesn't work. They fail because they treat it like a cooking ingredient. Too hot, too much, too long, too often, and then wonder why their feet feel worse. And yes, we have to talk about the biggest internet claim of all. Does Epsom salt absorb through your skin and raise magnesium levels? Because depending on what you believe about that one idea, you either treat Epsom salt like a miracle bath or you throw it in the trash. Let's clear it up without turning this into a chemistry class. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. That's it. It looks like table salt, but it's a completely different compound. The tricky part is the through the skin claim. Your skin isn't a sponge, it's a barrier. When researchers look at transdermal magnesium, the evidence is limited and not definitive. You'll see small studies and bold headlines get passed around, but we don't have strong, high-quality proof that soaking reliably boosts magnesium levels the way actual intake does. That matters because it changes what you should expect. If you're soaking to fix a magnesium deficiency, you're probably chasing the wrong outcome. But if you're soaking for comfort, softening, relaxation, and a simple foot care routine, that's where Epsom salt can shine. And here's what a lot of people miss. Even plain warm water can do a lot of the heavy lifting, opening blood vessels, improving local circulation, and making your feet feel looser. A smart test is simple. Try a warm soak with and without Epsom salt and notice what changes. Now let's make this practical, because the real question isn't, does it work? The real question is, what are the best reasons to use it? And what are the dumb mistakes that ruin it? Reason 1, it helps you actually shut your brain off for a minute. This sounds too simple to be a benefit, but it's one of the real ones. A foot soak forces you to pause. It turns the end of the day into a little ritual. You're not standing. You're not walking. You're not scrolling while your body stays tense. You're sitting. You're breathing. You're letting heat do what heat does. Calm things down. A lot of people chase relaxation in complicated ways, but this is low tech. And because it's low tech, it's repeatable. The bag sits there. The basin sits there. You can do it on a random Tuesday when you're fried. And no, this isn't me saying Epsom salt is a magic anti-stress drug. It's the combination, warm water plus stillness plus routine. Warm bathing conditions have been associated with measurable circulation changes in controlled settings. If Epsom salt makes the soak feel more spa-like and helps you actually stick with the habit, that's a win. Reason 2, tired feet often feel better because warm water is genuinely soothing. If you're on your feet all day, you don't need a lecture. And you already know the feeling, that heavy, dull ache at night. The "my feet feel like bricks" vibe. Warm water alone can help with comfort. And a lot of people like Epsom salt because it changes the feel of the water and the after feel on the skin. Here's where people get it wrong. They assume the relief means magnesium absorbed through skin. Sometimes relief is just relief. Heat relaxes, sitting helps, time helps. And the placebo effect when something feels like a treatment can also play a role. None of that makes it fake. It just makes it human. If you want the most honest approach, do the experiment. Soak once with Epsom salt, once without, same temperature, same time, and see what your body actually responds to. Reason 3, it's commonly used as a supportive soak after certain minor foot procedures. This one is less spay and more practical. Many clinics and podiatry aftercare instructions recommend warm soaks, often with Epsom salt after an ingrown toenail procedure, especially in the early healing period. The point isn't that Epsom salt is a miracle antiseptic. Epsom salt is not antifungal and isn't going to treat fungal toenails. What the soak can do in those aftercare situations is support comfort, gentle cleansing, and drying of the area, depending on the situation and the clinician's instructions. And that depending is important because the trade-off is when you use a soak as a supportive step in the right context, it's helpful. When you use it as a DIY substitute for proper diagnosis, like for a serious infection, worsening swelling, or a diabetic foot wound, that's where people land in trouble. Reason 4, it softens rough skin so you can do smarter foot care afterward. If you've got calluses or rough heels, the goal isn't to sand your skin into submission. The goal is to soften first, then be gentle. Soaking softens the outer layer of dead skin, so exfoliation is easier and less harsh. Rubbing a handful of Epsom salt gently over tough areas after soaking as a kind of exfoliation step. Now, a quick side note, because people overdo this. If you scrub like you're polishing concrete, you'll irritate the skin. The skin will thicken again. And you'll feel like you're stuck in a loop. Soften, light exfoliation, rinse, dry well, moisturize. That's the rhythm. And yes, Epsom salt can be part of that rhythm. Reason 5, it can help with that wet, sweaty, funky feet situation, when dryness is actually what you need. This is one of the more specific real-life uses. Some people don't have dry feet. They have the opposite problem. Sweaty feet, wet skin. That damp feeling that makes socks feel gross 5 minutes after you put them on. Epsom salt soaks can be a good tool for wet athlete's foot or sweaty feet because salt draws water and can help dry the skin, making topical treatments work better in those wet situations. But notice the warning baked right into the same section. It's not for the dry, scaly version, because salt can worsen dryness. That's nuance, and it's exactly how you should treat home remedies. Reason 6, it can support, soften, and loosen for minor irritation or a small splinter. This is not glamorous, but it's useful. If you've ever had a tiny splinter or a hard little irritated spot, you know the first problem is stiffness. The skin is tight. Everything hurts more. It's harder to remove anything cleanly. Warm water helps soften tissue. A salt soak can be part of that soften and loosen approach, so you're not fighting stiff skin. This is not Epsom salt pulling a splinter out like a magnet. It's just making the job easier. My reason 7, magnesium sulfate has legitimate medical uses. But that doesn't mean you should freelance it. Okay, this is where I slow down a bit because people get reckless here. Magnesium sulfate has real, established roles in healthcare. Magnesium itself is an essential mineral with well-known biological importance, and recommended intakes, deficiency discussions, and safety considerations are summarized by authoritative sources like the NIH Office of Dietary Supplements. But that doesn't mean the average person should start treating Epsom salt like a drink mix. Yes, magnesium sulfate has been used as a laxative historically. But used as a laxative is not the same thing as safe to drink whenever you feel like it. If you're ever using any magnesium product orally, the safe lane is follow labeled directions, respect contraindications, and if you have kidney issues or other medical conditions, get professional guidance. So those are 7 reasons that hold up in real life, without needing to believe in miracles. Now we need to talk about the part that messes everything up, because I've seen the same pattern over and over. People try Epsom salt once, it goes badly, and they decide it's fake. Most of the time, it went badly because of the method. Mistake 1, making the water too hot. Hot water feels amazing in the moment, but if the water is too hot, But you can dry skin out faster and irritate sensitive feet. But super hot soaks can increase dryness and swelling, and it gives a target range roughly around body temperature rather than scorching hot. And if someone has reduced sensation, especially people with diabetes-related nerve damage, hot water is not just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. The CDC specifically advises people with diabetes to wash feet in warm, not hot water, and not to soak their feet. That's not a random opinion, it's safety guidance. So if you're someone who's at risk, don't do the "I'll make it extra hot so it works faster" thing. That's how the people get hurt. Mistake 2, using way too much Epsom salt, or barely any. A lot of folks treat Epsom salt like seasoning. More means stronger, not always. Too much can increase dryness and pain. Too little might not feel like much, and a middle amount is usually the sweet spot. If your feet come out feeling tight, itchy, or papery, that's a clue you overdid it. Mistake 3, soaking too long and then doing it every day. This is the sneaky one. People soak for 45 minutes because it feels good. Then they do it every single day because they're chasing that relaxed feeling. But over-soaking can dry your feet out and encourage cracking. Some dermatologists also suggest keeping it around 15 to 20 minutes for many people and being careful with frequency. So here's the trade-off. More soaking can feel better short-term, but too much can make skin worse long-term. Mistake 4, using Epsom salt for the wrong problem. This is the most important mistake because it's the one that actually carries risk. Epsom salt soaks are not a cure-all for anything weird going on with my foot. Not for acute injuries, lumps, gout, and especially not for diabetic foot wounds, where delays in DIY treatment can become serious. And again, for diabetes specifically, reputable guidance stresses avoiding soaking and focusing on daily inspection, gentle washing, thorough drying, and appropriate care. So if you have wounds, spreading redness, severe swelling, intense pain, fever, drainage that looks infected, or you're diabetic and something looks off, don't turn that into a home spa experiment. That's the moment to get evaluated. Mistake 5, believing the viral myths and expecting a miracle. Let's close the loops we opened earlier. First myth, detox. Your body already has detox systems: liver, kidneys, lungs, skin, gut. A bath can make you sweat, it can relax you, it can feel cleansing, but pulling toxins out is not something we can confidently claim Epsom baths do in a literal, measurable way. Second myth, weight loss. Any weight you lose from a bath is usually water weight. It comes back, not fat loss. Third myth, guaranteed magnesium absorption through skin. The best honest stance is, it's a debated topic with limited evidence, and we don't have strong proof that an Epsom salt soak reliably raises magnesium status the way oral intake does. So what do you do with all this? You use Epsom salt like a tool, not a religion. Now let's make the exact method ridiculously practical, because this is where most people either get great results or end up dry and annoyed. Start with warm water you could comfortably keep your hand in. Not hot, not steaming. Add a moderate amount of Epsom salt. You don't need to worship the exact number. Just don't go extreme. Stir until it dissolves. Then soak for around 15 to 20 minutes. While you soak, do yourself a favor. Don't multitask in a stressful way. Don't answer emails. Don't scroll arguments. Let it actually be the thing it's supposed to be, a pause. After the soak, rinse quickly if you want, then dry thoroughly, especially between toes. If you moisturize the tops and bottoms. But don't pack lotion between toes because moisture trapped there can increase infection risk again. This is standard diabetic foot care advice too. And if your skin tends to get dry, this is where you protect yourself. Moisturize after and don't soak daily. 2 or 3 times a week is plenty for most people. Now, who should be extra careful? If you have diabetes, neuropathy, poor circulation, a history of foot ulcers, or any wound that's not healing well, be cautious and follow professional foot care guidance. If you're pregnant, have chronic skin conditions, or have kidney disease and you're thinking about any magnesium product internally, that's also talk to a clinician first territory. And here's the final takeaway, the one I actually want you to remember. Epsom salt isn't here to fix your whole life. It's here to do a few simple things well. Help you relax, support basic foot care, soften skin, and make a warm soak feel better. That's it. If you treat it like a miracle, you'll be disappointed. If you treat it like a useful routine tool, you'll probably keep it in your cabinet for years. There are a quick question for you. Have you ever tried an Epsom salt soak and thought, this did nothing? If yes, I'd bet money it was one of the 5 mistakes we just talked about. Fix the method, then judge the result.